Then, big dilemma. We were blinded by a light. $2 billion industry called management consultant industry. And they're out there beckoning us. Come this way and you too will be fixed. So we came, we saw, we spent, and it was a disaster. And I named them in my book because they were so appalling. We totally lost the plot during that time of consultancy process, because what we did is what so many of you will do, is you will take your knowledge and give it to strangers to work out for you. What you should do is, like, metaphorically go to bed with somebody for at least 3 months before you know you want to live with them. And that's how you could do that with a management consulting, because usually they have their own templates, their own systems, which they want to mesh you into. If you can find a consultancy or some advice which can help shape your vision, I think it would be a bit better. Anyway, they failed to recognize this fluidity, this very, very unhierarchical management, and they couldn't work with them. They were too hierarchical, and so we spent 2 years with this organization, and it was probably the most soul-searching, tedious process of reorganization that ever happened. And it finally arrived to look like something like this, a Lego set from hell. And had been changed so many times since then, and it's still changing, and there's so many bloody boxes that it looks like what it was. During the process, I learned something very, very interesting. I learned that the bigger you get, hierarchy sneaks up on you. Like it or not, it's going to sneak up on you. And it creates more rules and regulations, and thereby it will do one thing very, very efficiently and very fast. It snuffs out creativity. And I also learned that employing management consultants can be one of the worst mistakes you can ever make. My own experiences with management consultants at the Body Shop was exhausting meetings, increasing gulfs between staff and management, and phenomenally complex corporate structures and fractured relationships, not least with the consultants themselves. And I've never experienced more of a corporate anguish during those times. The time when we employed management consultants and the time when we downsized. More of that later. Probably my biggest mistake of all times, and I really, really, really want to underline this, is going public. Hurrying to the stock market, and I think being public constrains you from being as experimental as you need to be, because what it is, it's like financial fascism. There's only one measurement, which is a financial bottom line, which is profit and loss. So if you come in with an agenda, like many of you will wonder, like how are you impacting the environment? How are you dealing with this big taboo subject of slave labor? How are you dealing with the community? How are you dealing with social justice and workers' justice and the workers' rights? This isn't included in a financial bottom line. So my advice to you would be two things. Go out and buy, and you can see it on the web. I put it probably on my web. An amazing book written this year by a guy whom I know and adore, Bo Burlingham. He used to be a roving editor at Inc. magazine in America, and I think it's called In Praise of Small Giants. It is a fantastic book. If I could have read that book when I first set up the Body Shop, when I was making decisions on how to grow, I don't think we would have gone public. So anyway, that was the main problem. So my advice to you would be, as I said, to be a small giant. One of the things you don't do as entrepreneurs, and I'll talk about this later, you are incredibly creative. You like vomit ideas. What you're lousy at in many ways is management. I couldn't manage myself out of a paper bag. And so if you could find people who could do the things you're not good at to expedite, like Gordon, my husband, he was the expediter of all the ideas I had. He was tenacious. He stayed. He just made it happen, where I just came up yet with another idea. So my first, some little advice and few things, set clear goals, because I can tell you, you don't. And I remember hearing this maverick, or reading about this maverick business writer called Napoleon Hill. Now, he was the author of Think and Grow Rich. That's not me, no, of course not, it's not me. He interviewed all the richest people in the world in the 1920s, and he distilled what they said. And this was the essence of it. So set clear goals. So be clear about in terms of your objective so that you can visualize it. He also said, and this is a bit quirky, you should meditate every day and never give up, which are probably good pieces of advice as well. But it is the objectives that are important. If your goals are fuzzy, your chances are you won't achieve them or not know that you have done them. And today it was quite interesting because I had a meeting with one of the people that came to one of my surgeries. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful business. And she brought with her a couple of young people who were doing the same things, which are green funerals, green endings. And I've listened to this vision of one of the husband and wife team, and the vision was so big. It embraced everything. And I said, no, focus, bring down, just make the goals clear. And it was a language that you're not used to because your vision, you're just articulating your vision. What you all have to remember is when you're trying to change the world is that the job description of an entrepreneur is not enough just to be clear about the ultimate goal. We always have to be clear about the objectives along the path that is year by year, even day by day. So that's number one. I also think number two, learn what you need to know. Being successful means learning all the time, and it follows that you meet somebody you admire, you ask them questions. Now, women are pretty good at this. Women will knock on the door, women will phone up, women will say, can I have some help? Blokes, in my experience, don't do that. Just watch a bloke driving a car, and if he gets lost. He's not wired to ask for help. And that's a shame, because I think there are so many business people who have left the corporate world, and what we've got is wisdom and ideas and networking. And so I do really encourage you in many ways is to be able to do things by asking questions and getting to know people and getting to ask the questions anyway. I think, let me just tell you on this one, this is a Body Shop bus. I've also think it's really cool to copy everybody's ideas if they're great. And I think for me and for all the groups of businesses that were in part of the Social Venture Network, which is sort of an alternative to the International or the Chamber of Commerce in America, we were all social entrepreneurs, we were philanthropists, NGOs, and our whole idea was just to make business kinder. And I remember when visiting Ben Cohen, Ben & Jerry's campus in Vermont, doing a talk at with his employees. And he showed me every blank space was an opportunity to give a message. And he used his ice cream as a kind of a social emissary. And their factory tour, most people going to Vermont would go to Ben Cohen's, Ben & Jerry's, because they all got free ice creams. You can also learn from people around you, even your children, your parents and your neighbors, from anyone you overhear talking about their experience in whatever businesses that you're in. From people bemoaning the lack of product or service, and dissatisfaction is a real energy for setting up any business. And the usual business of inefficiency. At the moment, I am so pissed off with so-called chauffeur cars, because they lie to you when they say the car is arriving and it doesn't arrive. So there's somebody got to be changing there. And I think any one of us are all pathetically grateful for anything that works. So listen and apply what you hear to your basic problems. The other one is positively positive. Be that. Successful social entrepreneurs are really pathologically optimistic. You are bordering on the obsessive. You're positive about what you're doing. It makes everything possible. In some ways, it's the most important shift that needs to happen, in my estimation. And once again, being positive stems from this natural resource from inside you.